Some important opinion that we're tracking, but let's now bring you the trade setup as we see it this morning. We have our research team joining in for exactly that. Vivek, Nigel and Surbi are all with me now to bring you the trade setup and prep you up for this trading session. Guys, very good morning to all of you. Vivek, coming to you first, you were just going through the global setup. That definitely looks positive this morning.
Well, you're absolutely right. It's been a very, very strong handover. A couple of things to watch out for. We've ended the April series on a very strong note, and we're going to, looks like we're going to set off the May series too on a very strong note. But just having a quick look at how the global markets fared yesterday. Very strong set as far as US markets were concerned. Nasdaq up almost 2.5%. Like you mentioned, the global tech earnings coming in much better than what were actually very soft analyst estimates. European markets ended trade largely unchanged. Very mixed set of cues as far as Europe is concerned. Crude oil prices ended largely flat on a negative bias. However, crude oil prices have significantly cooled off from the recent highs. So Brent futures now trading closer to just a $78 a barrel marker. Now, when you're talking about Indian markets, ended the April series on a 2-month high. So very strong handover, almost a 1,000-point rally in the Nifty as far as the April series was concerned. IT stocks is something you need to keep an eye out for. Yesterday, IT pack outperformed. A lot of earnings have come in the IT space, post market hours yesterday. So that entire pack will be in focus. And also, when you're talking about few select banks, Axis Bank also will react to its numbers. Asian markets on the back of strong handover from global cues, have started off on a strong footing. SGX Nifty 2 is indicating a gap up start to the May series.
All right, Vivek, thanks a lot for getting us all of those cues. Gap up start. Let's see how the rest of the session moves. But let's also talk about the individual stocks that will be in focus in today's trading session. We have Surbi here to fill us in with all of the very important stock-specific action that came through post-closing yesterday. Surbi.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for that. So I have quite a few earnings on my radar this morning. The first one is Axis Bank, where the numbers were better than expectations on many parameters. The net interest income was up 33% on a year-on-year basis. They have reported a net loss of 5,700 odd crores versus a profit of 4,120 odd crores last year. Moving on to Wipro, where the revenues were weak but the margins were maintained. The dollar revenue was up close to 1% and the EBIT margins were maintained at 16.3%. The board has also approved a 12,000 crore buyback. LTI Mindtree, the revenue growth was lower than estimates, but the margins were slightly better. On a sequential basis, the constant currency revenue growth of 1%, but the EBIT margins came in at 16% versus 14%. Emphasis, it was a weak quarter. The constant currency revenue was down 5% sequentially, and the EBIT margins were maintained at 15%. Indian hotels, very strong set of numbers. The revenue was up 87% and the EBITDA was up nearly 3 times at 536 crores. Apart from that, Godrej Consumer and Raymond will also be in focus. As the CNBC-TV18 News break is confirmed, Godrej Consumer is going to acquire Raymond's FMCG business, Raymond Consumer Care, for 28-25 crores. And lastly, PI Industries will be in focus as the subsidiary PI Health Sciences is going to acquire 100% stake in TRM for $42 million.
All right, Surbi, thanks a lot for bringing us all of that individual stock-specific action. Let's also talk about cues from the futures and options space. Nigel joins us for that. Nigel, as much as we've been complaining about a very flat session the past couple of days, the whole of April has been quite good.
What a stellar April it was, Pavitra. I mean, when you get close to around 5% returns in a single series, that's telling you how good it was. And you pull up the intraday chart of the Nifty, we ended the series at the highest point that we have seen. That's telling you how good the series was. And after losing out for 4 straight series, well, we had a good big green series out there. But how is May series shaping up? Well, let's give you a couple of cues. The shorts from the FIs are around 58-59% odd. I'll tell you what, we'll miss these shorts. At the start of the series, it was 91%. And that was one of the big reasons that we did see the market surge up, because the shorts got stuck on the wrong side. On the option side, well, they are buying as well as writing equal amount of calls as well as puts, so no direction coming in there. But let's look at the options data. Now, yesterday in an uptrending market, you had the 17,800 and the 17,900 put between them. They added close to around 90 lakh shares or thereabouts. So there was aggressive writing that we've seen at both those two levels. On the downside, that 100 DMA, that becomes the near-term support zone, close to around 17,800 odd. On the upside, though, 18,050, 18,100 odd. I think out there we'll see some supply coming in there. I was looking at the recent high that we saw in February. It was 18,034. So that's why that is a bit of a resistance zone. On the Nifty Bank, being the star, right? Even yesterday, it surged up in late trade. So out there, there's a tussle on which side of 43,000 it's going to swing, because you had a fair bit of action at the 43,000 call as well as the 43,000 put. But let's plug in a couple of numbers. Since the 43,000 call was seeing a fair bit of writing, 43,300 becomes a bit of a resistance zone. On the downside, though, going by the kind of writing that we've seen, and 42,600 was a bit of a resistance on the way up. So on the way down as well, that becomes a bit of a support zone. SGX Nifty is suggesting a bit of a green start. But I'll tell you what, after the kind of rally that we've seen, we got big Qs next week. You got a long weekend as well. I think taking some money off the table before the end of today will be a prudent strategy on the index. Stay long, but maybe taking some money off the table will be good. Back to you.
All right, Nigel, thanks a lot for taking us through all of those cues from the futures and options space as well. With that, it is time for our first short break on the show. But when we come back, a whole host of big companies have reported their fourth quarter numbers after us yesterday. So we're going to line up all of the highlights on the other side.